Okay, so everybody is aware we're all being recorded. That means don't say anything you wouldn't want your mama to know. Well,
My mama
maybe
taught
that.
me half the crap I know.
So the reason I wanted to call this meeting early is that I was getting a number of emails very concerned about we're all floating in this new. Oops, McKenna's have arrived. Come on in, McKenna. Can you hear me? I don't know if you're muted or not. Let's see. Where's McKenna? There you are. She's connecting. Hold on. McKenna, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. So I was saying the reason I called this meeting and only set it for 1 hour is it's just a touch base meeting. So many people were emailing me we're all feeling kind of,
No.
oh, is that a baby? Do I hear a baby?
That would be my 5-year-old.
Oh, sweetness. So I called it so that we could just touch base, regroup. I came with a plan on how to finish off this semester as strongly as we can. Here comes Devin. Let's admit him.
Are we doing the rest of our classes online, like for
I,
the full
I am
semester?
intending to do the rest of our classes
Okay.
online. And I will tell you, Devin's connecting, and I will tell you, I have to unmute him or he will be muted, I think. Devin, can you hear me? Isn't that giving me oh, nope, we're still connecting to Devin. There we go. Devin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, guys. So we're coming together just to touch base. You have the option to turn off your video if you don't want people to see you or your house for whatever reason. It's down in the bottom left-hand corner. You can just stop video or you can start video so you can see each other. So everyone can see you when you do this. So let me tell you something that most people do not know. I am working, currently, I have my own website and I tutor business people in Italy. And so I've been doing this. I've been aware of the situation since the end of January. And what I am seeing is most of them are they're sequestered. They've been sequestered since like the middle of February or the 1st of February in Milan. One lady I work with, she's in the fashion industry in Milan, which is like an epicenter for fashion. And she was telling me a lot of companies were closing down, kind of like what's happening here, slowly closing down. Hers was one of the last ones to close down as they discovered that Milan was kind of the heart of where the infection, the virus was. And unfortunately, they didn't do it fast enough. So what people did, there are a lot of people in Italy who are born in the South. And in the South, there isn't a lot of industry. So they go to college and then they must move north, but they miss their homes and their families so much. So as soon as the word started spreading that they were going to close down, make everyone stay home, people fled back to the South, back to their homes to be with their family, and that's how the virus went all over Italy. So I've been watching them do this since the beginning of February. It is now mid-March. There is no end in sight, and as if any of you have seen the reports, they now have more dead than China. They have 6,000 dead. And so many. Now, here's the big difference, and this is what terrifies me. From the beginning, Milan had a higher number of cases and was, I don't know if you know, but the rest of the world was like, oh, they let it into Europe. But the truth was, according to the people I spoke with, they just did more testing. So other countries weren't testing for it. So of course they didn't have the numbers, right? Milan was very aggressive with this. They tested, 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 and as you can see, it didn't exactly prevent. Well, we'll never know how much it prevented. But here's my concern: we here in Michigan are hearing, oh, there's 65. Oh, that doesn't sound like a lot when you have 10 million people in the whole state. However, I also saw a report we currently are only testing 110 people a day. That says to me we're not on top of it at all. So when they suggested that we stay home, I'm going to tell you it's serious. It's very serious. You guys are all young enough, and hopefully, I don't know your health conditions. Hopefully, you are strong enough to withstand it. But think about all the people you come in contact with, your loved ones. Would they be, because it's airborne. So we can wipe all we want to. If you happen to be close enough to someone who breathes on you and you breathe it in, you have it. So,
Please tell my work that. I work at Starbucks and they're still making us work.
well, this is an interesting topic for us, as you are living in a time that I don't think anyone alive has ever experienced. This is the most unique situation. So you guys can watch and learn from this, and I hope we watch and learn from what they're doing in Europe and in China. But the reason I think they are not pushing the panic button as hard as I think they should have done this 3 weeks ago, they should have closed everything. But there's another problem, because this is all about survival, right? You must survive. But if you're not working, how do you feed your family? Italy has been doing it, I said, since the end of January. That's like almost 2 months now. And there's no end in sight. So we're talking about not 2 weeks, that's what they said. We're talking about months. And so you have to consider, how do people feed their family for months, right? If you're not working, how do you make money? I am fortunate I can work from home. Not everyone. How many of you, is there anyone else who can work from home or has been given that option?
No.
No, I
No.
got laid off.
Right, because you guys don't have that specialized degree, the type of work I do, I can work from home. But you guys haven't got the degree part yet, so you are doing this manual labor kind of stuff where you have to be there. So that's the problem. That's why they haven't shut all the businesses, I think, because how do people support themselves if you don't let them work?
Jonathan, can you turn that down, please?
So I can tell you another thing. Wearing a mask will only protect you from fluids unless you have a very special mask that will actually get the airborne illness. So I'm saying all of this not to terrify you, although, it is terrifying, let's face it. But so that you are aware, it is more severe than what other people are saying. Just do the research yourself. Go look at what's going on in Italy. And they were not foolish about it. They took more precautions than we're taking now in Michigan. They did a lot more testing. They closed all the stores except the grocery store and the pharmacies. That's all that's open there right now. And and they're still having incredible numbers of death. They had to call in the police yesterday, the military, to take the dead away because the funeral homes can't handle it in the one region that I was talking to. So it is very serious, but understand why politicians and people in charge are not closing everything, because the other end is, how do you survive if you can't eat? You have to be able to afford to eat, right? And the government is trying to give you money for 2 weeks, but it looks as though this is going to be a long haul. So that's what I know so far. And that's what I think you should prepare for. And so I have made a plan for us to continue our class online because you will come through it. It may not be easy, but you will come through it. And when you do, you'll be wiser, smarter, and closer to your degree if you stay in the class. Some communication I'm getting from the colleges, they're developing plans to refund money for the class. You're certainly welcome to do that. But if you are sequestered, and I suspect most of you will be in the next month, you'll have time to do this class. And I have trimmed it down considerably. And with the online component, you can pretty much do it when you want. So think about that, and think about the other end of this. You will come through the other end of this, and it will be a couple of months, probably, maybe more. We don't really know how long before we can resume our daily activities. But when you do, you want to have this under your belt at least. This is one step towards your future in a very chaotic time when the future is so uncertain. So does anyone else have any information about this that they would like to share with the class?
Not really.
Okay. So is anyone aware of anyone near them who is infected with this virus?
I had someone at work, her sister lives in Germany. Her and her kids had it, and then they got better.
They did. So that's
Yeah.
encouraging. Thank you, Sloan. How old were her children? Because I know children are most susceptible.
Under 10.
Wow. And they still survived it. So in Germany, they must be doing something right. We should look to Germany. One of the.
They just went in and then they got told to quarantine themselves for 2 weeks. And
So
after the 2 weeks,
there was
had to
nothing
do
they
that.
gave them for medication or anything. You can't really treat a virus. You just have to ride it out, right?
They are talking about that they are coming up with a vaccine. I saw on the news yesterday that they're coming up with one, or they already have one, but I don't know how credible that is. So,
Well, I'm sure that's what they're working towards right now. That won't help the people who are already infected, I imagine. But and it, with vaccines, it's a bit of a toss-up because you have they actually give you the virus and hope that your body can overcome it. That's what vaccines are, and develop antibodies for it. And most of the time it works, and sometimes you just get really sick. so we'll see how they do with that. But in the meantime, it is encouraging to hear that people even as young as under 10 are surviving it. I guess the biggest issue is when the numbers reach a critical mass and there aren't enough hospitals or enough ways to sequester. That's when people are dying, because I know in Italy the hospitals are just collapsing. They're absolutely collapsing. So that's where we are. That's why I'm making a plan to just finish this online. And I have for you, I'm going to share my screen so you can